What happened to Sean Kingston? You might be wondering, this is the story of Sean Kingston, from stardom to behind the bars because of illegal activity. Once celebrated for his hit, Beautiful Girls, and a rising voice in American pop and reggae fusion, Sean's life spiraled from fame and luxury into a dark tale of fraud, betrayal, and legal downfall. This is not just about a singer's rise. It's about the chilling descent from glittering stages to the cold, unforgiving world of crime and consequences. Started like a fairy tale. Kazzian Paul Anderson, the world would come to know him as Sean Kingston, was just 17 when his voice took over the airwaves in 2007. His debut single, Beautiful Girls, topped the Billboard Hot 100, and for a moment, he was the soundtrack of summer across America. The Jamaican-American teen was living every dream imaginable. Platinum records, luxury cars, mansions in Miami, and collaborations with megastars like Justin Bieber. Sean Kingston wasn't just famous, he was untouchable. But in true crime stories, the first act is always the rise. And the higher the climb, the harder the fall. Memorial Day weekend, 2011. Kingston sped across the Miami waters on a jet ski, adrenaline roaring in his chest. Then came the crash, violent, sudden, catastrophic. His jet ski slammed into a bridge. Witnesses watched in horror as he and his passenger were hurled into the waves. He was pulled from the water, unconscious. At the hospital, doctors fought to stabilize him. Fans across the world feared he might become yet another young artist lost too soon. But Kingston survived. Doctors called it miraculous. He emerged shaken, thinner, and slower, but alive. Many thought it was a warning, a chance at redemption. Instead, it was only the beginning of a much darker spiral. Fast forward more than a decade. In 2024, Kingston was no longer topping charts. His music career had faded, but the lifestyle hadn't. Luxury cars, designer watches, a sprawling mansion in Fort Lauderdale. But behind the scenes, something was wrong. Vendors began to whisper. High-end jewelers claimed they hadn't been paid. Car dealerships complained about missing payments. And one electronics dealer said Kingston promised him something strange in exchange for a 232-inch LED screen worth over $100,000. Kingston's celebrity promotion instead of cash. The truth began to emerge. Kingston, along with his mother, Janice Turner, had allegedly been running a fraudulent scheme. Using his fame as leverage, he lured vendors with promises of money and exposure. Then, according to prosecutors, he sent fake wire transfer receipts to seal the deals. The goods would arrive. The money never would. The FBI would later call it a $1 million fraud ring. May 2024. Fort Lauderdale, Florida. The quiet of an upscale neighborhood shattered as a SWAT team stormed Kingston's mansion. Officers arrested his mother on site. Hours later, Kingston himself was taken into custody in California, where he had just stepped off stage after a performance. The fall was sudden. The evidence overwhelming. Investigators uncovered text messages linking Kingston directly to the fraud. In one, he told his mother, "I told you to make a fake receipt, so it looks like the transfer will be there in a couple of days." The glamorous lifestyle, the cars, the jewelry, the massive TV, had all been purchased through deception. What fans thought was the spoils of stardom, prosecutors said, was actually the spoils of crime. By early 2025, Kingston and his mother faced a mountain of charges: wire fraud, conspiracy, and theft. The courtroom became a stage of its own. Vendors testified about being misled and manipulated. Prosecutors unveiled paper trails of fake receipts, false promises, and deliberate deceit. And then, the twist. In court, Sean Kingston broke down, sobbing not for himself, but for his mother. "Protect my mother," he pleaded. But the evidence told another story. This wasn't a case of a star dragged down by those around him. This was a partnership, a family crime syndicate in miniature. In March 2025, both mother and son were convicted. The months that followed were filled with desperation. Kingston was released on bond, confined to his home with an ankle monitor. He begged the court for permission to perform at Summerfest 2025 in Wisconsin, a last-ditch attempt to keep his career alive. The request was denied. Even his bond arrangement crumbled. The property meant to secure his release wasn't worth what it claimed. His wealth, once flaunted, seemed to evaporate overnight. By July 2025, his mother was sentenced, 5 years in federal prison, followed by 3 years supervised release. And then, on August 15, 2025, the hammer fell on Kingston himself. 3.5 years in prison, plus 3 years of supervised release. The judge ordered him into custody immediately. No more performances, no more stages, no more spotlight. Sean Kingston's story is not one of murder or bloodshed, but it is a true crime nonetheless. A tale of deception, downfall, and the dangerous lure of fame. He had the world at his feet. He had the chance to rise, to rebuild after tragedy. Instead, he chose shortcuts. And in the end, the bright lights of stardom became the very tools of his undoing. Because in the world of crime, sometimes the most shocking twist isn't who gets killed, but who ends up destroying themselves. Sean Kingston's name once filled arenas. Today, it fills court dockets. A cautionary tale of fame, fraud, and a fall from grace. Proof that in the end, crime doesn't just steal from victims, it steals from legacies.